Maybe invite Bante to start the teaching, please. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Before we start Dhamma talk, we will pay homage to the Buddha by reciting Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Today we have to continue previous Abhidhamma talk. We have to start explaining the mental process according to Abhidhamma. When we are going to set out very long journey, or when we are going to leave for other country, we have many different process. Similarly, when we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, or we touch, or we think, there will be different mental processes according to sense doors. So today, we are going to explain the process according to Buddha's Abhidhamma. We have the 5 natural laws. The 5 natural laws according to Buddha's Abhidhamma, they are Bija-niyama, the natural law of seeds. So we have many different types of plants and trees. For example, sunflower. When we plant sunflower seeds, it will grow the plant. Then when they bloom the flower, the sunflower will face to the sun all the time. That's the natural law of Bija-niyama. Similarly, we may have many seeds. That means there are some seeds. If we can grow it, it can bear the sweet fruits. There are some seeds. If we can plant it, it will bear the better fruit. This is Bija-niyama. According to the seed, we can get the fruit, or the leaves, or the branches. That's called Bija-niyama, according to Buddha's teaching. And we have the next one, Udu-niyama, the natural law of temperature. So according to the temperature, many different trees will bear different fruits, flowers, and so on. This is according to the temperature. For example, tea leaves, it will be in the cold weather. If it's hot weather, we cannot plant tea leaves. Then we also have another one, the natural law of karma. In Pali, karma-niyama. So we may have different karma in our life. We may have done many karma in the past. We have to accept the results of karma in this very life. For example, if we were born as 3 roots person, we can attain jhana, magga, and phala, fruition knowledge. If we were born as 2 roots or unroots, we cannot attain any path of fruition knowledge or any jhana. That's the natural law of karma. We cannot change it. Then finally, we have Dhamma-niyama, natural law of Dhamma. For example, when the Buddha appeared in this world, when the Buddha was born in this world, 10,000 universes will tremble. This is also a natural law of Dhamma. Then finally, we have the natural law of Chitta-niyama. You can also say the natural law of consciousness. So, as long as we are alive, we have consciousness. As long as we are conscious, we have consciousness. Although we are half conscious, we have consciousness. That means our mental process is not controlled by anybody. It will arise naturally. When we see, hear, smell, taste, or touch, or think, the mental process will arise naturally according to the objects. According to our intentions, it will be different. That is the natural law of citta. We can also say the natural law of consciousness. In Bali, citta niyama. So when we are going to talk about citta niyama, we also have to understand mental process. Before we start explaining the mental processes, we have to talk about competence. Why do we have to study mental process? To understand competence, we have to learn mental process. How many competence do we have according to Buddha's teaching? When we are going to meditate or when we are going to practice, we have to break down competence. So these are the competence we have to learn. The first one is sanity kana, continuity competence. Yes. When we think about mental process, it will arise as siti, continuously. We call continuity competence. Samuha kana, synthesis competence. In every single mind moment, there will be associated mental factors. That means the mind alone cannot arise. It will arise together with mental factors. So when we can break down this competence, then we can understand the nature of non-self clearer. Anyway, we have to break down this competence when we are going to study or when we are going to meditate or practice vipassana. The next one, kricha kana, function competence. We have learned mentalities and materialities. In every ultimate realities, we have the nature of ultimate reality. We call lakkhana, the characteristics, rasa, the function, manifestation. We can say the patvdh, the prosemic cause, patatthana. So in every single ultimate reality, they have their own function. The mind will function, the contact will function, the feeling will function according to ultimate reality. Finally, we have aramanakana, object competence. So we have different objects in different mental process. In one mental process, only one object, but different consciousness will take the same objects. When mental process change, it will be different objects. We also have to learn aramanakana, the object competence. So to break down these competence, we have to learn the mental process. Okay, now we should start. Competence again. Sandati kana, continuity competence. How can we break down continuity competence? See this picture. If you see black line, you're gonna know what are they or who are they. But if we change, if we can see closely, you can know what are they. Okay, now discernment the process. When we can discern the process, we can know all the consciousness and mental factors, especially in the process. Okay, now here, this is an ant. Previous picture is also actually ants. But if we see very far, we cannot know what are they. When we see closely, we can know they are ants. Similarly, if we just know the minds, the city of minds, without breaking the barriers, so without knowing every mind moment, we cannot break down the completeness of continuity. So, similarly, if we can determine the process, we can understand every single mind moment, we can break down this completeness. This is called breaking down continuity completeness. Then again, samuhagana, synthesis completeness. Yes, every single mind moment, they have their own associated mental factors. Then you can see an ant close up. You can see very clearly the legs, the head, and everything. Similarly, if we can know many different mental factors in the same mind moment, we can also break down this completeness. Just some associated mental factors in every single mind moment. Then we have the next one, Kichagana, function completeness. Yes, every single mind moment, we have said they have associated mental factors. In every associated mental factors, they have their own characteristics, function, manifestation, cosmic cause. So when we see the ants very closely, we can also know what are they doing. Similarly, if we can know and see the mentalities in every single mind moment, we can also know their function, their characteristics, the manifestation, the cosmic cause. If we can discern all these things, we can break down the function completeness, Kitagana. Finally, we have Aramanagana, object completeness. I have said, one process will take one object. Without the object, the mind cannot arise. Discerning precedent mind with succeeding mind. How shall we discern? This is the object you are going to see. When you see the object, that is the Einto mental process. You see with this mental process. Now, when we are going to discern ultimate mentalities in this mental process, in every single mind moment, there will be another mental process that can know there's a mental process. So if we can know different mental processes have different objects, then we can break down this components. Although we say preceding minds with succeeding minds, in reality, preceding mental process with succeeding mental process. So preceding Einto mental process will take Buddha's picture and Sangha as objects. Then mental process will take that mental process as anicca, dukkha, anatta. The mental process will know the objects and the mental process as anicca, dukkha, anatta. In this way, we can break down the components. So this is the basis of Buddha's teaching. We have to know when we are really going to practice Vipassana according to Buddha's teaching. Then we also have Visaya Bhavati, the arising of an object. We have us first. So phytomental process means we have Einto, Eardo, Nose, Tando, and Body Do. These five are called phyto. Our eye will see. At the time, Einto mental process will arise. When we hear, Eardo mental process will arise. When we smell, Nose mental process will arise. When we taste, Tando mental process will arise. When we touch, the body door mental process will arise. So these are called phyto-mental process. In the phyto, we have different objects. What's the difference? The first one is Abhidhamma, a very great object. Here it doesn't mean very big objects. It means very clear objects, very powerful objects. But sometimes we can know clearly, we can see clearly, we can feel clearly, we can smell, taste, touch, hear very clearly. At the time we can say Abhidhamma, a very great object. Sometimes it's not so powerful like Abhidhamma. There is the next type, Mahandaramana, a great object. Although it's not very powerful as Abhidhamma, we can see, smell, taste, touch, or feel. Then we may have the next one, patvdh, a slight object. Sometimes, although we see something, we are not very sure what is that. Is it not very clear to us? We can say slight object. We hear something, but not very sure what they are talking or what is the sound. At the time, it will be patvdh. So sometimes, although we know, we are not sure. That means it's patvdh. The last one, patvdh, very slight objects. That means the object is very weak. Anything? Sometimes the object is very weak, especially in this fourth type. Abhidhamma will arise in only the newly born baby. Although we talk to them, they can hear, but they cannot understand. Although they see something, but they don't understand what is that. So the last one, Abhidhamma, will arise in newly born baby, or maybe very young, very little boy and very little girl who cannot speak at the time, maybe. Now we have the next one, two types in mind-mental process. Yes, we also have mind-mental process. Our eyes can see, ear can listen or hear, nose can smell, tongue can taste, and the body can feel. But mentally, we can take everything. We can see, we can smell, we can hear. Mind will take any object. So when we see, smell, taste, touch, phyto-mental process will be only the present. But mind-mental process can be past, present, future, sometimes time-lapse. It can be many different types. In two types of mind-mental process, the first one is vibhuddha-ramana, a clear object. The object is very clear to our mind. That means we can know very clearly. We can visualize very clearly. That's called vibhuddha-ramana. Second type, avibhuddha-ramana, an obscure object, unclear object. Sometimes we know something, but we are not sure. At the time, avibhuddha-ramana. So as beginner, we have to understand these four types of Visaya poverty. The arisings of an object. So you have to remember there are four types in phyto-mental process. There are also two types in mind-mental process. The object will arise. Then we have to start learning the arisings of mental process. So every day we see many different things. So when we see something, what's the mental process? We also have one simile about the immense eaten mango. Later I will explain that one. So in the mental process, in the very beginning, the first mind moment is Atita Bhavanga, past life continuum. In our daily life, if we are sleeping, when we are deep sleep, we have Bhavanga, mind moments. Many Bhavanga mind moments will arise and perish. This is called Bhavanga, life continuum in English. We translate as life continuum. Atita Bhavanga means past continuum. Then we have the next one, Bhavanga Chalana, traveling life continuum. This is also second mind moment in the mental process when we see very great objects, very clear objects. The third one, Bangupacheda, arrest life continuum. That means stopping the series of Bhavanga mind moments, life continuum. So why these mental processes arise? Actually, these three mental processes is not seen. These three mind moments are not seen. The color of visible objects. They will take past life, death moments, objects. That means past life, near death moment objects. It can be karma, the karma we have done in the past, karma nimitta, some happen factors, nimitta, because the destination sign. So why these three Bhavanga mind states arise in the mental process? If a man is running in very high speeds, he cannot stop immediately. There will be 2 or 3 steps running, after that he can stop. Similarly, the series of Bhavanga mind moments is very long. When mind is going to change the objects, it cannot stop immediately. There will be actually 3 life continuum, Bhavanga mind moments. Past life continuums, traveling life continuum, arrest life continuum. You can say Atita Bhavanga, Bhavanga Chalana, Bhavangupacheda in Pali. After that, we have phyto aravatin consciousness, Panchadhara Vajana. So when we study unrooted or rootless consciousness, there are 3 functional. If you remember the first chapter of Abhidhamma, the first chapter of this book, one of them is phyto aravatin consciousness. So it will function as aravatin. That means it will advance to the objects. From that time on, that mind will take visible objects. So Panchadhara Vajana, the phyto aravatin consciousness will take visible objects or color objects. After that, we have Chakku Vijnana, eye consciousness. This is the first part. We can see the objects. Then, after seeing it, we have receiving. that mind will receive the objects, accept receiving, they arise. Then Sandirana, investigating. It will investigate, it is a good or bad. Then again, we have Otavana, determining. So it's also called Javana Pratipadaka Manasikara. Here we have known Yoniso Manasikara or Ayoniso Manasikara. Wise attention or unwise attention. That's actually Otavana, determining. If the object is good, it will be wholesome. Something although is good, if we are greedy, it will be unwholesome. If it's bad, if we get angry, it will be unwholesome, dominasa. So this is we call Javana Pratipadaka Manasikara. Actually, in the books, I also mention different name. Anyway, determining will decide the object. Finally, we have Javana, impulsion. So this is the main mental process, the main mind moments. Javana, the impulsion mind moments will arise 7 times in the mental process. So we have now 9 mind moments. Adita Bhavanga, past life continuum. Bhavanga Salana, troubling life continuum. Bhango Pachira, arrest life continuum. Panchadrara Vajana, Phyto Arvatin. Chakku Vinyana, eye consciousness. Samadhichana, receiving consciousness. Sandirana, investigating consciousness. Otavana, determining consciousness. Javana, impulsion consciousness. All the previous mind moments will arise only 1 time. But Javana, the impulsion mind moments will arise 7 times when we see a mental process. When we see an object. At the least, it will arise 4 times, or 5 times, especially in the near-death moment. Okay, now finally we have another one, the Dharamana, registering minds. So that one is like a speedboat running upstream. It runs very high in very high speeds. The water will follow the speedboat for a while, going upstream. After that, it will flow normally downstream. Similarly, Javana, emotion arises 7 times in very high speeds. Then 2 registration minds will follow it. After that, there will be Bhavanga again. If there's no mental process, at the time we have Bhavanga mind moments. That means life continuum mind moments will arise many times as series again. So these are the mind moments that will arise in the Eintal mental process. We have a simile. Let's say there is a man sleeping under a tree, under a mango tree, for example. A mango falls from the trees, and he wakes up and opens his eyes, and he goes and picks up the mango. Then he also rubs the mango. Then he will try to smell it. He will know is it sweet or not. After that, he will eat. He swallow the mango. He will swallow the last bite together with saliva. Then he will eat and sleep. The simile. In this simile, we can also understand falling mango is a 3 life continuum. Adita Bhavanga, past Bhavanga. We also have trembling Bhavanga, Bhavanga Chalana, arrest Bhavanga, Bhango Pachira. So falling in mango is like a 3 life continuum. horizons prior to eating. Then awaken is elevated minds. We wake up and open eyes is like elevated mind, right? If we awake, if we wake up, it will be elevated mind. Then again, open his eyes is unconsciousness. Then again, we have pick up the fruits. It's like a receiving consciousness. Then he will wrap the fruits. He will know it's ripened. Then this is investigating consciousness. And we have next one, smelling the mango. It's determining. Is it good or bad? So when he eats, it's impulsion. This is the main things we have in the mental process. So swallowing together with saliva, this is like a registering. In body we call the dharamana. After that, he may go back and sleep again. He may fall into pavanga state again. This is the explanation, the symbol of mango. So we have to understand the process. Okay, here, Adhita Bhavanga, past life continuum, only one mind moment. Bhavanga Chalana, trembling life continuum, the second mind moment. Then Bhangupachita, arrest life continuum, the third mind moment. Bhavanga Panjara Vachana, the Fido Adavatin, the fourth mind moment. Chakku Vinyana, unconsciousness, the fifth mind moment. After this, Samrichana, receiving consciousness, the sixth mind moment. Sandirana, investigating, seven mind moments. Votapana, determining, eight mind moments. After that, we may have seven javanas. 7 times arising javana. Then we may have the dharamana, registering mind, 2 times, so it will arise 2 times. If they cannot arise 2 times, they will not arise anymore. This is the core mental process. Then again, we have to understand lifespan of man and rupa. It will be different. Here in the table, I just mentioned eye base or any respective base. It can be ear base, nose base, any other. Then I say here visible objects. It also can be sound, smell, anything. So the lifespan of rupa, the materiality, is longer than that of nama, mentality. It's 70 times longer than mentalities. So if we use short form, mental process, it will be like this. Here we have T, Jimmy, Pas Bhavanga, Adhita Bhavanga. Na, this is it, Bhavanga Chalana, Shambhalin Bhavanga. Ja is Bhangupachita, arrest Bhavanga. Pa is Pancha Doravachana, Fido Aravadin consciousness. Cha is a Chakku Vinyana. That means eye consciousness. Now we have Sam, that means Samrichana, receiving consciousness. Here we have another Sam. This is called Samrichana. Sandirana, investigating consciousness. Here Hu means Hutapana. That's determining consciousness. After that, we have 7 javanas and 2 dharamana. All J can be javana impulsions, and Dami, this is the dharamana, registering minds. These 70 mind moments lifespan is equal to 1 materialities, rupa. So the objects and the base will arise together with Adhita Bhavanga, past life continuum. Then it will perish together with second dharamana. second registering mind. So for your information, Abhidhamma, one mind moments, were divided into 3 sub-mind moments. They all have a rising stage, the theta stage, and the paration stage. So in every single mind moment, there are 3 stages: rising stage, theta stage, paration stage. So there will be many different mind moments. In every single mind moment, there will be 3 stages. But this is the arisings of mental process, and we have to approach every single mind moment according to Abhidhamma. Then again, when we see one object, it will be followed by mental process. In the very beginning, we have already talked about there are 2 different objects in mind. Okay, here's a very clear object. That is why this is the mental process. Mami, Manodara Vachana, mind abiding consciousness. Jami, Javana, impulsions. Tami, the Dharamana, registering minds. After that, Bhavanga, life continuum. So every single vital abiding consciousness will be followed by mental process. Taking the same object, seeing the color, vital abiding consciousness will, mental consciousness will arise, and will be followed by mental process. Later, I have to explain a little bit more in detail. The wise attention. I have to talk about wise attention. Why the wise attention arises? We must have some causes, some conditions to have wise attention. What are the conditions we should have to have wise attention in our lifetime? The first one, Abhidhamma, self-restraint, is very important. If we don't train ourselves, we're going to have wise attention. So practically, if somebody has negative thinking most of the time, when he speaks, he will talk about negative. He will have many negative ideas. It will be very harmful for himself. If we train himself to have more positive thinking, more positive idea, his communication skill will become better. Similarly, in our lifetime, we must train ourselves, Abhidhamma, self-restraint. We have to train ourselves. If the one I say, don't do this, okay, we have to avoid it. If the one I say, do this, we have to do it. If the one I say, don't think like that, don't think, sure. If the one I say, please think like that, we have to think about it. So we have to change our idea, we have to change our thinking, we have to change the way we approach many other material or non-material. When we can change our attitudes, then we can also make better environment. Okay, in brief, Abhidhamma is very important for everybody to have wise intention. If we don't train ourselves, we cannot change our life. We cannot change our community. Then it will be very harmful for ourselves. This is the first. It comes from ourselves. Nobody can help us to have self-restraint. Then again, we have Satama Savana, listening to the truth Dhamma. Here we are talking about Dhamma. That is why we just talk about the truth Dhamma or anything. But in reality, in our daily life, if we have a chance to listen true things, real things, the best things, our mind will change. If we have to listen many negativity, our mind will change again. So here, Saddhamma means choose Dhamma or noble Dhamma. Sometimes our environment also can change us. That is why we must have good friends who can speak good things to us, who can give good information to us. Not only listening now in modern society, we can also read many books. There are some books, they will explain only positive. And some books will talk about negative. There are many books, they will mix up positive and negative. Anyway, reading books also can improve ourselves. So we must have right information, good information to change our attitudes, to change our minds, to change our acceptance, how we accept our environment. It is also important for our community. Then the third one is Sappurisupanisaya, associating with noble friends or wise person. So good friend is very important in everywhere, in any case, whether in business, in practicing Dhamma, or in meditation center, or anywhere. If we have good friends, we can improve faster. If we don't have good friends, we cannot improve easily. We have to adapt to many different things. After that, we have to try very hard to improve ourselves. So the main thing is Sappurisupanisaya, associating with noble friends or good friends. It will make us the first responsibility come from ourselves. The second, the task. Patvdh.sgoffice, living in a suitable place or suitable locality. Yes, a living place is also powerful for us. If we are going to earn money, and then Singapore or the Western country will be better, right? But if you are going to meditate, you must come to Myanmar. Myanmar, you can have more free meditation center. Okay, that means Patvdh.sgoffice, living in suitable place. We have many different conditions, many different suitable place. When we are going to learn, we must have good school. Good school will be suitable place for him. If we are going to earn, it must be rich country or a developed country. If you are going to meditate, sure, you must have a place for every meditation center. So we must live in suitable place according to our conditions. The suitable place also help us to improve our life, our meditation, our earning, our career. Okay, now the last one. This is the past course. Ubhicakata Punyata, having meritorious deeds done in the past lives. This is the unknown source. Many people say, we cannot know that we have done good karma in the past or not. Although we don't have psychic power to see our past, but we can guess according to our present lifestyle. Especially for foreigner. Foreigner means like a numerous country. Many people from numerous country. Many people also say that, Bhante, I don't think I have enough parami to attain jhana. It's not only one person. Many people. They came to Patvdh, they meditate, and if they cannot improve, they will complain their past karma. It's not truth. I think many of meditators will remember, I have talked to many meditators, the same things. If somebody say, I don't think I can attain jhana, I don't think I have enough parami to attain jhana, then I will ask very simply, where are you from? And they will say, I come from Malaysia, Indonesia, Singapore, Europe, US, anyway, then why should we meditate? Who forced you to meditate? But nobody forced me. I just came to patvdh by my wish. If so, believe you are parami. You have past karma to meditate. There are many, many enjoyable things in the life. More than enough. Why your mind does not incline to enjoy many different things? Why your mind incline to meditate? That's the proof of parami. There are many interesting things. There are many things to be done. But we choose only one thing to meditate. That means we have done good things, good karma in the past. We have good foundation in the past. Maybe to improve will be different. Parami. Not only actually to improve, not only parami, also skill in the present life. Okay, now we have 5 causes. These 5 causes are for wise intention. The first one comes from ourselves. We have to train. If we don't train, we cannot have separate. We cannot have wise intention. The second, the third, come from other people. The fourth also can be other people. But the last one is the unknown source. It comes from the past. But we can guess how is our past karma by present actions, present inclination. So when we have wise intention, we may have wholesome mental process. If we don't have wise intention, there will be unwise intention, it will be unwholesome mental process. So when we have wholesome mental process, we are accumulating wholesome karma, it can bear good results. When we have done unwholesome karma, then it will bear bad results in the future or in this very life. So it's also important to know that what are the causes of wise intention. We can change our minds. We can change our thinking. We can change the way we understand. It comes from how we train ourselves, who we associate with, and where we live. Then we have to know a few more. Manasikara. As we talk about Utthapana, we call intention. So we have Vichi Patipadaka Manasikara, the basis of mental process. You can understand this as a phyto-arvating consciousness in the mental process. Now we also have another one, Javana Patipadaka, the basis of impulsion. That is actually Utthapana. We have talked about previous one, determining consciousness. Aramana Patipadaka, the basis of objects. So we have basis of, this is like a mind-or-avoiding consciousness in mind-or-mental process. So these three are also called intention. These three were decided. Yonasamanasikara or Ayanasamanasikara in the mental process. Then Javana, impulsion. So we also have to know what are really called impulsion. It's like a series of mind moments, arise and vanish. Actually, these are karma. We have unwholesome impulsion. When we have that idea, that thinking, a lot of negative thinking, it will be unwholesome impulsion. We also have wholesome impulsion. When we are going to do good things to ourselves or to other people, it will be wholesome impulsion. Then we also have functional impulsion, excluding the two advancing consciousnesses in non-unrooted. So functional impulsion will arise in Arhat. When Arhat do dharana, it's not wholesome or it's not unwholesome, it's only functional. They don't have any attachments, any defilements. That's why they don't have any karma. They cannot accumulate any. They will not accumulate any new karma. That's why they are called functional impulsion. And we have finally supramenting impulsion. When somebody attains path and fruition knowledge, at the time, supramenting impulsion. When they enter into fruition attainment, it will be supramenting impulsion. Fruition consciousness will arise and perish many times in the middle process. That is it called jhāvana, impulsion in Buddha's teaching. Now we have the dharana, the last 9 moments. I have said the dharana will follow, that means registering minds will follow jhāvana. So it will be very wide. I think you can read in the manual, in the booklet. So registering cannot be arise in the following conditions. For example, taking lineage of the name as object and taking concept as object. So when contemplating or understanding the 3 characteristics in the powerful insight knowledge, that means when they are contemplating as anicca, dukkha, anatta in very powerful insight knowledge, the dharana, registering mind cannot arise. In the powerful insight knowledge very close to past knowledge, then it also cannot arise. And taking fine material and immaterial dhamma as objects. That means when we take jhana objects, registering mind cannot arise. Then mighty karma, unchangeable wrong view among the mithya niyama. That means here unchangeable, we can also say like a persistent view, persistent wrong view. When we have persistent wrong view or in mighty karma, taking that one as objects, then it cannot, the dharana cannot arise. Then after path impulsion in the path attainment process among the sambhada niyama dhamma, okay, that means after path impulsion also cannot arise. So here, mithya niyama, sambhada niyama is right, very wide. I will not explain that one, right? Because we have to go to Dhammasangani to explain that one. Then taking sacred power as objects, taking supramenting Dhamma as objects. For example, we may review the paths, fruition knowledge, or we can also review the nibbana, defilements, then it will not take as, the registering mind will not arise. Then taking sacred power as an object. Then taking the analytical knowledge as objects, they cannot arise. Then we also have the last one, taking the weak sensual sphere objects. And later we have to explain that one in another mental process. Okay, now briefly we can understand only 3. The sensual sphere impulsion, the living being born in sensual sphere, and also the strong and powerful sensual objects. When we have these 3, registering mind will arise. So impulsion must be sensual sphere impulsion. You have to go and check the first chapter, wholesome, unwholesome. Then living being born in sensual realms. So in the Brahma, the dharana cannot arise. When a Brahma came to see the Buddha, although they see, but the Dharamana cannot arise. A strong and powerful sensual object. So the object become very weak at the time the Dharamana cannot arise. So you have to remember these three theories at the least. So when we have these three conditions, registering mind will arise. Okay, now again, the arising of endowment process. You have seen this picture again? You have known this one again? So when we see these objects, endowment process will arise like this. Then again, there will be another mental process. Follow endowment process. How many mental process can take the same things as objects? We can also say another way. To know one thing, how many mental process must arise? Then we have to understand another one. Okay. Conformity of embodiment and registering. Okay, it will be a little complicated for newly learner here. If you have learned in my previous course, then you will understand this one. If you have never learned before, it will be difficult for you. So embodiment and registering minds. So dosa mula citta, this means hatred. Then another one is mahakiriya ubekha. That means arhat. Only arhat can, this mind will arise only in arhat. Registering mind will be 4 Mahavibhaga Ubekha and 2 Ubekha Sandirana. So we have to review previous chapter about the function. Now 4 Mahakiriya Somanasa, there will be 4 Mahavibhaga Somanasa and 1 Somanasa Sandirana. Only 5 registering minds. One of them will arise. The remaining 18 embodiments or 11 regenerated mind consciousness can arise. One of them can arise. This is just for your information. For new learner, it's not very easy for understanding. Okay, later, when we are going to talk about mental process, we have to continue again. Okay, now, to understand 18 with 1 syllable, how many mental process will take objects? For example, we may see one thing with 1 syllable. For example, dog, cow, car. When we see a car, for example, endowment process will arise. The first one, take one of the facing objects. That means when we see a car, the first mental process is endowment process. It will take car as object. Then second mental process is mindful mental process. It will take past objects. That means when we see the car has already perished, right? We are seeing a new car. Because all the namarupas are rising and perishing very rapidly. Within one finger snaps, millions of mind moments can arise and perish. So within 1 nanosecond, many mental processes can arise and perish. So the first mental process will take car, second mental process will take past car, already gone. Then the third one take the name as objects. This is also mindful mental process. The fourth one take thing concept as objects. So that means the first one will see the car, the second one take objects, the third one know the name, then the fourth one know the car fully. So when these 4 mental processes arise many times, we can keep seeing the car. So sometimes we will see the car few seconds. There are many mineral processes arise and perish within few seconds. Many millions of mineral processes will arise and perish. They keep seeing the cars. That means these 4 mineral processes arise again and again, repeatedly. So if we have 2 silver in the objects, then how many mineral processes? Actually, the first 2 will repeat 2 times. If 1 silver, 4 mineral processes, if 2 silver, 6 mineral processes, the first 2 will repeat. If 3 silver, it will be 8 mineral processes. Just add 2 more mineral processes. And these mineral processes will arise and perish many times, taking the same things as objects. Now finally, we can understand, we can keep knowing the same things for a very long time. So we also have mineral process like this. This is the first mineral process that take car. Then another mineral process taking the same things, pass car. Then we have the next one, taking the name. The last one, take the things, the real car, the car body and the structure of the car. So these are the mineral process. Then we also have Yonasamanasikara, Anusamasikara, and good and bad, right? So we also have designable objects and undesignable objects. What do you mean designable? What do you mean undesignable? So briefly, if we like, it's designable. If we dislike, it's undesignable. When seeing a car, if we dislike, so bus bawanga is not really functioning normally. Just take bus objects, no problem. Bawanga chalana, also take near moment objects, no problem. Bus object, no problem. Bangu pachita, also take near moment objects, bus objects, no problem. Panchara Vajana, take car as objects. And Chaku Vijnana see, Samdhachana receipts, Sandhirana investigate, whatever determine is a good or bad. We dislike, we get angry, all the javana will be dosa javana. Then the dharamana will be upakata dharamana, equanimous dharamana, according to previous table. It will be followed by this mineral process, the same, unwholesome. This mineral process is also unwholesome. Fourth mineral process also unwholesome. So then how can we know that it's designable or undesignable? How shall we decide? Designable or undesignable? It depends on our conditions. For example, according to the age, we have different designable objects. For the little boy, little girl, kids will like many toys to play. Now in modern community, they will like playing game or many other things. For kids also, they have many games. For mature people, we may like other things like books, like a Dhamma CD, or like a movie, or any other things like that. So according to the age, we have different designable objects. Then another one is the place. According to the place, it will be different. Okay, sometimes when we go abroad, we can see different favorite foods. Okay, when you come to Myanmar, you may have experience with the ngapi, like a rodent fish. So they smell the fish, it was very smelly, never eat that one. Anyway, we had different objects, different favorite foods, that mean different objects. So sometimes in some country, they will like egg, right? Maybe rotten eggs, their favorite food. Similarly, fermented bean as a desirable object, for example, it depends on the country we live or the environment we live. Then we also have the lineage or the class. For example, high class and low class, middle class, it depends on the class. We have different. Some of our family tradition, according to our family tradition, also we have different desirable objects and undesirable objects. Sometimes reviving in consciousness is also important. Okay, practically, we have one rich Brahmin at the time of the Buddha. He was very stingy. Although he was very rich, his mind does not incline to eat good food. His mind does not incline to wear good clothes. He does not have very good vehicle. That means his mind does not incline to it. This rewarding is this one. My designs. Then it depends on living beings. Different living beings have different desirable objects. As a human being, we have human objects. As a birds, as dogs, as animals, they may have different objects, different favorite objects, different desirable objects. Similarly, they have different undesirable objects. The another one is sense doors. Okay, practically, durian. I think many people would like durian, right? According to the iron door, it's not very good looking. If we open, okay, yellowish, desirable, good looking. If we eat, okay, for tan dough, it's a good taste. But for nose dough, very smelly. So that means durian will desire for windows and tan doughs, but not desirable for nose dough. Similarly, there are many, many other objects. It will desirable for one dough and desirable for another dough. So sense dough will change the object also. Another one is the time or appearance. Sometimes always the most desirable object for us, if we are angry, not desirable. It's very tasty foods. If we are angry, not tasty. If we have a lot of stressful life, if we have a lot of depressions, not tasteful, not tasty. Depends on the time of horizon, the times of appearance. There will be desirable objects and undesirable objects. How can we decide desirable or undesirable? Sometimes the high class people, very high class, always desirable for ordinary people, they will not like it because they will like better than that. Then we will decide with medium class, middle class. If middle class say is it good, we can say this is good, desirable. If most of the middle class people dislike, it's disagreeable or undesirable. So if poor, like all those very minor things, it will be desirable for them. That is why we are going to talk about desirable objects. We have to decide according to middle class. Okay, now again, if I had see a car, what will happen? For them, they may have normal feeling. They will not have attachment to it. So all the impulsion, jhana, will be functional. Similarly, all the mitochondrial process will be functional. All the jhana in mitochondrial process will be functional. So their mind is easy to change. Although it's desirable object, their mind will not attach to it. Although it's undesirable object, they will not get angry. It cannot distract their mind. That is why they will have only functional consciousness. Happy and equanimity will be different for arhats. Okay, now we have the good news. Another one. That is it. Environment process. Change only one thing here. Dita bhavanga, bhavanga chalana, bhangupachita, panjara vajana, sota vinyana. Sota vinyana means environment process. Or the ear consciousness. Then the remaining mind movements will be the same, but they will take the sound as object. This is environment process, right? So in environment process, we have the same mind movements, only one thing difference, sota. Dita bhavanga, bhavanga chalana, bhangupachita, panjara vajana, after that sota vinyana. Ear consciousness. Samrichana, receiving, Sandirana, investigating, Uttapana, determining, after that javana. Then two registering minds. So when we hear something, it depends on saliva, how many saliva in the thing. But when we hear the car, taking the car as objects, environment process will arise. Taking the parts, after that, taking the name of the car as object, that made the process. Then finally, taking car, the material, the body, the structure of the car as object, the last made the process will arise. If we hear two salivas, there will be 6 minute process. I have already said 2 feet. If 2 salivas, so there will be 6 minute process. If 3 salivas, it will be this 8 minute process, and so on. It depends on our discernible and understandable object. Sometimes, although we hear nice sounds, good sounds, we may have attachment. Sometimes we may have wholesome mind. It will be wholesome minute process. If phyto-advancing consciousness is wholesome, then all the mind-o minute process, 3 mind-o minute process, also wholesome. If the environment process is unwholesome, then the mind-o-minute process, 3 mind-o-minute process will be unwholesome. So you can understand the saying, if arhats hear the sound, they may not have attachment to it. They may not get angry when seeing it or when hearing it. It will be functional consciousness. Happy and equanimity will be different for arhats. Sometimes arhat may feel happiness. Sometimes it will only normal equanimity. Then the next one, this is Ghana Vinyana. Ghana Vinyana means this is the nostrum process. When we smell something, it will arise. It's followed by mind-o-minute process as usual. There will be 3 mind-o-minute process to know the smell of something. For example, smell of flower, smell of perfume, or anything. Then we can also know any other types of mental process. So if we keep smelling something, this will arise repeatedly many times. So try to remember that this is the most desirable, the clearest object, the great object, very great object. It's very great object and very clear and very obvious. Then we can see clearly, we can smell clearly, we can also listen, but we can also hear very clearly. Okay, now it's better for us to go another one. This is a Tanto mental process. So Tita Bhavanga, Bas Bhavanga, Bhavanga Chalana, Traveling Bhavanga, Bhangupachita, Rest Bhavanga, Panjara Vajana, phyto-ravadin consciousness, Jinhua Vijnana, 10 consciousness, Samritana, receiving, Sandirana, investigating, Vatavana, determining, and Javana, embulsion, Gadarama, registering. If the taste is very clear and obvious, this mental process will arise. To understand the taste, there will be 4 mental process. As I have said before, taking past objects, mental process arise. Taking name as objects, mental process will arise. Taking thing as objects, mental process will arise. It will take 4 mental process to understand the taste of the objects with 1 syllable. If there is more than 1, it will be different, as I have said before. Then we have the next one, Jita Bhavanga, Bhavanga Bhangupachira, Pancha Vijnana, so Pancha Ravajana, Kaya Vijnana, body consciousness. So, eye, ears, nose, tongue is very limited place. Body is very wide. Whatever we touch, we may feel sensation, we may feel touch. At the time, body to mental process will arise. So to understand what we are touching, it will take 4 mental process. So second mental process, take past object. The third one, take name as object. The last one, take thing as object. For example, we are touching a fruit. For example, mango fruits. Their saliva, 2 syllables, mango. So, taking man as object, if we touch, taking man as object, the first mental process and second mental process. Then go. The first mental process, second mental process. After that, third and fourth. The third will take name or mango as object. The fourth will take the real fruit as object. But these are phyto-mental process. In reality, there are many other mental processes I have to explain. Today, not that much easy to explain all, right? Okay, now, great objects. In the great objects, there will be 2 past bhavanga. After that, the last one will be different. In previous mental process, we have registering mind as the end of mental process. But this one is embulsion is the end of mental process. What makes that difference? Sometimes the object is not very clear or the base is not very strong. For example, we see something, but the object is very small. We cannot see very clearly. Or our eyesight is very poor. We cannot see clearly. Or the light is not very bright or not bright enough to see. We may have many other supporting causes to see one thing. If supporting causes are not very powerful, not very strong enough, then we cannot say it's a very great object. It can be, as long as we can know it's a great object. Then there will be this mental process. It's not very strong as previous objects. Here I just use only mental process, 2 past bhavanga, after that trembling bhavanga, then arrest bhavanga, phyto-ravadin consciousness, then unconsciousness, receiving consciousness, investigating consciousness, determining consciousness, and 7 inversions. After that, life continuum. So there will be the next mental process with 3 past bhavanga. If very great is great objects, it will be only 2 times. Then we have only 5 more minutes left, right? Then we have to continue slight object. So it is very weak object. I have said we are not sure. I have seen or not. I have heard or not. I have smelled or not. If we have doubt about the object or uncertain object, after seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, or touching, we call slight object in Pali paridharamana. So we may have this mental process. The object become very weak. Then it also can be many different supporting conditions, like iron translucency is weak, or the object is unclear or very small. Then the light is not very bright enough. It depends on many other conditions. You can say slight object. Then we may have at least 4 pas bhavanga. Under that, trembling bhavanga, rest bhavanga, then phytoadividing consciousness, unconsciousness, receiving, investigating, determining, after that, life continuum. Here we have 3 determining consciousness. So when this mental process arises, we cannot see clearly, we cannot hear clearly, we cannot smell clearly. The one cannot say wholesome or unwholesome because no jhana. The one cannot say functional either because the object is not very clear. We don't have a chance to like or dislike. That's why we're going to say greed or hatred. We're going to say wholesome or unwholesome. So this mental process will be many different types. Then there will be 5 pas bhavanga, also 6 pas bhavanga, then 7 pas bhavanga, and 8 pas bhavanga. There can be 9 pas bhavanga. Okay, we can understand like this, up to 9 pas bhavanga. It depends on the objects. But anyway, whatever object it arises, this is unclear to us. We cannot sure. We're going to make it sure. Then the last one, very slight objects. I haven't said that one, although we talk to the newly born baby, they may hear, but they cannot understand. Then they will see, they will smell, but they don't know what is that. So very slight objects can arise in baby. There will be many, many pas bhavanga. So here, 10 pas bhavanga. After that, vajana, trembling. After that, no more. Okay, so this can arise only in one baby. That's why it's not concerned with our mature people or adult people like us. But anyway, we also should know this also as one of the mental process. So when this mental process arises, there can be many different types of different pas bhavanga. Now here we have 10 pas bhavanga, right? It can be 11, 12, 13, 14, or 15 pas bhavanga. Although we have very little number of pas bhavanga or very big number of pas bhavanga, the object will be the same. We can understand. So we can recall our childhoods, how many things we miss, in which age we can start hearing, we can start learning. Okay, now, this will be the last one for tonight. Mental process. Although I haven't explained very much in detail, actually I have already said before, there are only 2 types of mental process according to objects. The first one is patvdh.sgoffice. a clear object. We have known in Visya Parvati. Second, Abhidhamma, an obscure object. Actually, in the very beginning, I have already talked about it. Now, when Abhidhamma, clear object arises, this is the mental process. This is a past bhavanga. This is a trembling bhavanga. This is a arrest bhavanga. This is a mind-arising consciousness. Previously is a Aindo. At the time, Phyto-arising consciousness. Here we have mind-arising consciousness. It will be different. After that, as usual, 7 impulsions and 2 registered minds. There is also some controversy about this mental process. Some scholars said there is no past bhavanga. If they like to understand it, mind-arising consciousness, and 7 javana, impulsion consciousness, and 2 the dharana. After that, life continuum. This is a clear object. Sometimes in our minds, we can know the object very clearly. At the time, this Dharana will arise. Sometimes the object is not very clear in our minds, then that one cannot arise. It will be another one, Abhidhamma, an obscure object. So it will be mind-arising consciousness, 7 javanas, impulsion consciousness, and life continuum bhavanga. So this is Abhidhamma. Actually, there are many other things to talk about mental process. For example, jhana is also mental process. Path and future knowledge is also mental process. Whatever we visualize something past. Sometimes we remember anything about our past. We may eat. We may also taste something. We may also smell, feel, see many different things about the past. Whenever we visualize the past, it can be mental process. Whenever we think about the future, it will be mental process. Sometimes we are thinking about present moment, present objects with our minds. This is also mental process. Mental process is very wide. Eye mental process, ear mental process, nose mental process, tongue mental process, the body mental process will take present object. But here, mental process will take present, past, future. Sometimes we can also say timeless or time-free. They're like a nirvana, final cessation. We cannot say present, past, future. Similarly, concept, we cannot say present, past, future. We can say time-free or timeless. Okay, so these are the mental process we have to learn. Okay, here again, when we have many past bhavanga, we can make this mental process. Without past bhavanga also possible, with past bhavanga also possible. Okay, now I think this is the end. Okay, so may you all be able to practice 3 trainings. As a result of it, may you all be able to understand 4 noble truths, and may you all be able to realize the final sensations in our nirvana. Sādhu, Sādhu, Sādhu.
Vandami Sādhu. Sādhu, I have one question about the mental process for the very flat object, the Ati Parita Ramana.
Mm-hmm.
The mental process for that object is only the bhavanga chitta arise and perishing. So
Yeah.
there are not any active mental process.
Yeah.
And Sādhu said that it's happened in a newly born babies. Does that mean that their mind is always stay in the bhavanga state?
Yeah, mostly their minds in the bhavanga stage. Yeah.
So until when the active process can happen, Sādhu?
Okay, so If they can see, then if they can start knowing something, then there will be mental process. Okay.
Okay.
We cannot know what time they will start seeing or knowing.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Sādhu. Yeah. Thank you, Sādhu.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Sādhu, you said that to have hatred mind is unwholesome, right?
Yeah.
Then I read about the Buddhata Jataka. There's one Pali sentence from the Buddhata Jariya. This sentence is Pelaya Pakipan Devi Samadam Devi Panina Alam Payanena Kupam Hirakanda Baya Mama. The meaning is even the Bodhisattva was put in the cage, even the Bodhisattva was beaten by hand of people. The Bodhisattva was afraid to break his sila, so he didn't have the hatred mind toward the people who play with the snake. So this here, the not to have hatred mind is sila. So I don't understand this why it's not Abhidhamma area.
No hatred mind is? The question is no
About
hatred
the
mind?
sila, is about the sila, but not Abhidhamma. Why here is sila? Because I think sila is about the body and about the speech, but here not have hatred mind. Also is to fulfill the sila balami.
Okay. So actually, if we say sila, it's actually abstinence. Okay, we have 3 abstinence. So as we say, like a bodily wrong actions, verbal wrong actions, we also have livelihood, for example. So if we have hatred, actually one more thing, all the sila also, if we break sila, it comes from defilements. For example, we may kill something because of hatred or because of attachment. For example, we want to eat, that's why we eat fish, or we kill fish. This is because of attachment or because of craving. So if we kill snake, for example, it became for eating, it also because of hatred, right? So that means if we have 2 different things. Sila also come from, breaking silas come from defilements. The cause is defilements. That's why Buddha stop the cause of sila, the cause of breaking sila, right? Hatred. That's why it's also called sila. For example, you may say something, for example, like, where are you going? You may say, I'm going to Singapore, for example. At the time, you are not on the way, not in Singapore, right? Before you arrive, you told people, I will go to Singapore. When you really arrive there, you will cannot say, I will go to Singapore anymore. So that means before they break sila, is hatred. It can be greed. What I just said before arriving there. Okay? We call metaphor because of the upachara in Pali. Okay?
Thank you.
Good evening. Bhante, may I know when the mind of the process has reached a tadara manna, the registering consciousness, does it mean that the karma has already been created? This is my question.
Okay, so actually Dharana is not creating karma, only Javana is a karma. Okay? So, okay, one more thing here. We have some special cases. Objects are designable objects. Also, the person is also 3-rooted. Right? When you see the Buddha, for example, when 3-rooted person, but he's a non-Buddhist, when you see the Buddha, he will get angry, right? He will feel discomfort in his mind. At the time, the dharana cannot arise. The objects and his rebellion are different. Okay? mostly registering mind is a residing consciousness. Okay, in the mental process, if we review mental process, the first one, Bas Bhavanga, those have like a trembling Bhavanga, those have rest Bhavanga, all are residing consciousness. Then we have Fido Advargin or Mindo Advargin, these are functional consciousness. And rather eye consciousness, ear consciousness, all are residing consciousness. We also have like a receiving, investigating, all are residing consciousness. Then determining is a functional consciousness. Only jhana, impulsion can be karma, good karma or bad karma. Okay, so that means it depends on objects. Okay, registering mind will arise dependent on objects. If object become very powerful, very clear, it will arise. If object is not very clear, it will not arise. Okay, registering mind is determined by objects, not by karma. Okay.
Okay.
Any other thing?
Yeah, I understand. Sadhu Bante.
I'm from India. My name is Praveen Rajaratna. Please explain once more time Attanga, Atita Bhavanga.
Atita Bhavanga.
Please explain once more time.
Okay. So Atita Bhavanga means like, I have already given one simile. If a man is going to stop after running very in high speeds, right? So he may run in very high speed. When he was going to stop, immediately he was moved 3 or 4, maybe 1 or 2, 3 steps. After that, he can stop totally, right?
Yeah.
Similarly, now in the mental process, actually before we see something, the mental process will be, because like, life continuum, Bhavanga mind moment. So when the objects in pink on the door, for example, the color of visible object will impinge on the iron door. At the time, 3 Bhavanga were passed. After that, we can start seeing. The mind will advance and we can start seeing. To understand it, there will be mental process, right?
Yeah.
So the main thing is, although it's very clear objects, very great objects, at least there will be 1 pass Bhavanga and trembling Bhavanga, and we have rest Bhavanga. So after passing, there will be mental process. So these 3 Bhavanga will take past objects. Past object means in our previous life, in near-death moments, we may see some objects, it will take that one. Okay? It does not take present objects. That's why we cannot know Bhavanga. We just know color, sound, smell, right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's enough, right?
Yeah.
Wish you a wonderful day, New Year, Happy New Year for all of us. And I have 2 questions. One question is, could you please explain more about the past object? This past object is a random object, or is it, each time this past object can be completely new, jump, another, or it is stable object, always similar? This is one question about this past object.
Okay.
Second question is about in the terms of Cetashika, because we have 7 universal Cetashika and etc. And the question is, what happens if, let's say, we have a great object? Let's say that somebody is working on wholesome object. For example, engineer wants to create something good for society, for good of everybody, or good medicine. It's wholesome mind, he wants to do something. Of course, he is very concentrated working on this object. So this is mental process, let's say great big object, clear object, a wholesome object. And what happens is that in that person is sleeping, then which kind of Cetashika are like sleeping also, that is not cooperating in mental process? Because if he is dreaming, but in dreaming state, he cannot create beautiful work. This is chaotic work, dream work, or dreaming.
I see.
Yeah, use. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I know. So now the first one, right? So past objects. Okay, if we talk about the bhavanga, life continuum, right? It's a fixed object. So like past bhavanga, trembling bhavanga, rest bhavanga, they will take near-death moment object of the past lives. It's fixed. Okay. Then in the mental process, we have always say when we see color, then idle mental process will arise. After that, we have mindful mental process, right? So it depends on the object. So the mindful mental process, okay, we have say 4 mental process. You may remember, right? The first one take color. Second one take past object is color. That one also take name.
Okay.
Fourth one is a changing. Okay.
I see.
So
Yeah.
this is the mental process. Okay.
Okay.
Then second question. So okay, we should talk about only dreaming. The main question is dreaming, right? Or dreaming or in sleeping. So in sleeping, when we are sleeping at the time, we have bhavanga mind moment, bhavanga mind states, life continuum. As when we don't have any clear objects, right? Like unconscious. Sometimes when you're unconscious, you don't have clear objects. When you are falling from the tree, fall down from the tree, or drowning in the water, you don't have clear objects at the time. Bhavanga mind states, life continuum. So sometimes you have half conscious. That means you have dream at the time of bhavanga. Okay, so when dreaming is half consciousness, not fully bhavanga, it will take present object or can take past object. So when you are fully asleep, fall asleep totally at the time bhavanga mind states, life continuum. Okay.
So in full sleep, there's bhavanga, constant bhavanga.
Yeah, constant bhavanga. Continuously, if you fall asleep 1 hour, bhavanga mind states.
And in dream sleeping is changing in the dream state. Dream.
Changing, sure.
This object is
dream state is this is the at the time mindful mental process. Right? So when similarly, if you create something in your mind, this is a mindful mental process, right? You're engineer, for example, according to your example, you are going to draw, right? Then you have to think in your mind. It's a mindful mental process.
Yes.
In the dream, if you see something also mindful mental process, your eye closed, you cannot see, you cannot hear, you cannot smell, you cannot touch anything, right? It's only mindful mental process. Okay?
Right.
Another way?
But there is no mindfulness or don't know which Cetashika is not operating, that I cannot, the difference of sleeping mind or process and conscious mind or process, that I cannot have conclusion in the real life to create a computer, for example. And this is mindfulness is shutting down, or which
actually yes. When we are sleeping, mindfulness stays still. Okay, as long as one more thing. It will take a little bit longer time, right? I have to explain later about death moments. At the night, we're really clear. Okay, so that means we have 3: death mental process, life continuum death mental process, death, rebirth, and life continuum. These 3 have the same object.
Yes.
When we are sleeping, it will take the same object, right? So it depends on what kind of rebirth consciousness we have. For example, our rebirth consciousness has 33 mental feathers, for example. In among 33 mental feathers, there's also awareness, mindfulness. Not already shut down when we are sleeping. Okay? They arise, but we cannot recognize easily because it's very far from our knowledge or our concentration. Okay?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, next one.
Okay, thank you, Bante.
Hello, Sādhu. I'm very happy to see you again.
Okay.
Yes, and I have a question about my process. So in one session, in 1 second, we have more than 1,000 my process. So when Vipassana, how we can discern exactly which process. And second question is Hadaya Watu. It only in Hadaya, in heart, or it can be in brain, because some idea have the mind, it can appear in brain. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah.
Okay, so now we have to explain the first one, right? How we can know the mental process with insight knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have, okay, I actually give one simile.
Yes.
You are going to catch fish in a small stream, for example. You are going to catch fish.
Yes, sir.
Many fish are running, swimming in a small stream.
Yes, sir.
You have to use 2 hands. If you are not very skillful, you have to use 2 hands to catch one fish, right? Catch one fish, and throw to the basket.
Yes.
Then try to catch another fish, throw to the basket. You are not very skillful yet at the time. You train every day. Finally, you can catch with 2 hands. Catch one fish, throw. Catch another fish, throw, right?
Yes.
So in the very beginning, when we are descending mental process, when we are descending one mental process, many mind moments will rise and perish. There are many mind moments we cannot know. Later, when we become skillful, we cannot know mental process. We can know mental process.
Yes, sir.
We have to train gradually until we can see mental process. So trying to pick up one mind moment, and many mind moments will pass. Pick up one mind moment, many mind moments will pass.
Yes,
After that, we can pick up more mind moments. Pick up more mind moments. Finally, we can know mental process. Okay, this is for the first answer. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Second one. So actually, okay, Hariyawatu comes is from the blood, not the heart. Okay, because we also say one thing: blood in the heart. This is called Hariyawatu. Okay, so then that's when some scholars said it can go around all over the body. Right? People may get confused. They also say like brain. Okay, brain also, maybe modern science also say brain. But in Buddhism, we just talk about heart base is the blood in heart. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that means it will be the cause of some consciousnesses.
Yes, sir.
Okay? Okay?
Thank you, Bante. Sādhu, Sādhu.
Okay. Okay, another question now?
Bante? Yeah, I just want to know. Okay, as we know, the object will impinge on the mind door and the sense door together. Am I right? So, in terms of mental process, how does this works? Because which one take precedence first? Which one will be the main process start first? And we have any way to control the process between the sense door process and mind door process?
Okay. Actually, in the slideshow I already showed, the first one, when we see something, the first mental process will be idle mental process. After that, 3 mindful mental processes arise one after another. Okay, this is to know one color or visual object. Similarly, sound, smell, and so on. So this is for 5 mental process. If mindful mental process, idle cannot arise anymore. When we visualize past objects, then it will be only mindful mental process. Idle cannot do anymore. Okay. So your question is which one comes first, right? Right?
Yes.
Your question is
in terms of the sense door and the mind door, because they strike together, impinge together.
Sure. That means if we see, idle mental process will arise first after the mindful mental process. If we think something or visualize something, only mindful mental process, no more idle. Okay?
Okay. So the mind door is also the bhavanga.
Or also we can say like a bhavanga. This is only the metaphor. Okay, mind door. We can say mind door is bhavanga. Also heart base, we also say like that. So if we say bhavanga, this is bhavanga mind. Bhavanga have many different meanings, right? Bhavanga means bhavanga mind states. Mind door, it can be many different. Okay. So if we say mind short, it's born short. Another thing?
Thank you, Bhante. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your teaching today, Bhante. May Bhante lead us in making aspiration and sharing of merits, please.
Okay, sorry. Itawata ja amehi sambadam punya sambadam sabbe deva numodantu sabba sambati siriya idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyadeyo idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyadeyo idame nyatinam hotu sukhita hontu nyadeyo idame punyam asavakaya vaham hotu idame punyam nibbanasa pachayo hotu mama punya bhagam savasatanam bhajemi te sabbe me sama punya bhagam labantu. Sādhu, sādhu,
Sādhu, sādhu, sādhu.